Hello, good morning everyone. This is Lucrezia, your local guide in Venice. Today I'm in Dorsoduro, in the south of the city, to tell you about one of the most beautiful places we have in this area. It's to say the famous Squero di S.Trovaso, which is basically the only active gondola yard left in Venice today. You can see it over here behind me. This is the only place where they still build and restore the gondolas, and as you can see, the structure of the building itself is very unusual. It doesn't look similar to any of the other buildings we have in town. It's actually very similar to a mountain hut, because you have to know that the first gondola builders were actually people that came here to settle down from the mountains, more precisely from the area not far from the Dolomites. They were particularly used to work with the wood, and being very skilled was of course one of the most important features to make good gondolas. That's why their houses that were built over here looked very similar to the houses they already had in the mountains. If you look instead on the other side of the canal, over there you can see the Giudecca Island and the Giudecca Canal, and the street over there is known as Zattere, which literally means rafts in Italian, because this is where the people that came from the mountains was usually arriving. They arrived here with wooden rafts, and the wood they were taking here from the mountains was often used both to build the foundations of Venice, but also to build the first gondolas. When people think about Venice, they usually think also about the gondolas that have become one of the symbols of the city nowadays, simply because after the Second World War, the gondolas have become a sort of tourist attraction. But actually, centuries ago, the gondolas were used by every Venetian noble family to get around every day in the city. That's why, in fact, the gondoliers were simply the private drivers that worked for the noble families. Although today we only have 433 gondolas in town, back in the 17th century, when they were used every day by everyone to get around in the city, we had about 6,000 gondolas in town. In the past, all the gondolas had a sort of cabin on top known as felze that allowed Venetians to get around every day, even if it was raining, but also to have some shade and some privacy. Nowadays, cabins are not used anymore, simply because the gondolas are only used for panoramic rides in the canals. For sure, if you've been to Venice before, you have noticed that all the gondolas we have in the city are black, but you have to know that they are black only since 1562. Before, all of them were super colorful, richly decorated, and Venetians quite often used to attach gemstones to their boats in order to show off the wealth of their family. The situation changed in 1562 because that's when the Doge Priuli ordered with a decree that all the gondolas had to be the same. No class distinctions could be shown again decorating a boat, and he said that they had to be black simply because that was the color of pitch used to make the wood waterproof. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to get to know more about this area of the city, make sure to subscribe this channel and hit the bell notification icon so you will not miss any new video. And if you're visiting Venice and you would like to do a tour with me or to get some tips and tricks for your stay, make sure to visit www.secretvenicetour.com to see the tours that I offer. Ciao!